Yo, what's up guys? I just wanted to come on here and show you guys a new bone build that I've made like 2 days ago. Actually, it might have been, yeah, 2 days ago. The reason I made it is because I got this helm, bone spear, leaves behind echoes as it travels. These aren't that crazy, but the maximum essence from it, the plus to physical damage, the plus to total armor, and the plus to crit damage with bone skills is amazing. And plus they have pretty good item power. Now I'm getting way higher item power drops, but I got this at level 57, so it was pretty nice to see. This build, to give you like an example of the power it had, I was running a Reap and Sever build. If you look at my last YouTube video, that build was tankier. And it did good damage, like once you got your curse on them and the corpse tendrils. This build though, you're still running Decrepify and corpse tendrils, but you can kill without either of them. Like, it does so much more damage, and it has a lot more range and like clearing potential. You can clear stuff pretty quickly. Essentially what it is you're just like trying to maximize keeping your bone spear crits going. So let me go through the items. Okay, the biggest thing is this accelerating necklace. You get 38% attack speed from crits. I also have this bone spear imprinted. It's at the weakest roll because it's from the aspects. You can get this from a dungeon, and it makes bone spear's primary attack make enemies hit beyond the first vulnerable for 1.5 seconds, and then bone shards deal 50% more damage and pierce. And this is great because I'm running bone spear makes the first enemy hit vulnerable for 3 seconds. So this just makes it so that everything bone spear hits in that first cast is going to make everything vulnerable, including the first target, because the other option is 5% crit on bone spear, and it fires 2 additional bone shards upon being destroyed. Eventually we can run this if we get the exploit grip glyph, but I don't know, I'm kind of liking this because it's like permanent vulnerable on bosses. You just always have a vulnerable available, and then if you get vulnerable on bone splinters, I feel like it's not as good because you can just get 8% crit here on bone splinters, whereas this one you get 5%, and the 5% bonus you get is only on bone spear. And this is 8% overall. Like, you get 8% crit on everything. Your bone storm gets 8% crit, your corpse tendrils, and your bone splinters actually do really good damage with this build. I'm thinking about trying the legendary where you get basic attack speed, because you get basic and core attack speed from these crits on your core skills, and then you're just getting a ton of essence from how fast your bone splinters are coming out. So let me show you what it looks like, and then I'll go back. And also on my weapon, I actually have the corpse tendrils one. I think it would probably be better with how much damage this does to get the ossified bone essence on your weapon. Like this one is more burst damage because you get 120% multiplicative crit damage. So for 6 seconds you're gonna have higher damage, but let's say you just want to walk around and clear stuff fast without having to corpse tendrils, then the ossified bone essence legendary is going to be better. This one right here. So if you had this on a weapon at max roll, it would go up to 80% for each essence above 50. And that's a lot. It is 40% less than this, but this is only on targets that have been affected for corpse tendrils and only for 6 seconds. So you'll have a little less burst if you did that, but what I'm showing you right now is damage without corpse tendrils anyways, just because I want to show off the clear speed this has. And by the way, this is on world tier 4 at level 61, so I'm doing reduced damage because everything is 12 levels higher than me. Anytime something is a level higher than you, you do less damage and they do more damage to you. And it just like keeps stacking, so as I get higher, once I get like 70-ish, then it'll be a little bit more accurate. I honestly, you don't really need Bone Storm for damage on this build. I mainly am using it for the damage reduction. But the crit is nice too, because obviously the crit damage is really high on this build. And you don't want to, what I just did there, you don't want to get your essence below 50. What you want to do is keep getting Bone Spear crits. So as long as you're hitting Bone Spear on like 2 or more targets, you're probably going to get a crit. And if you're fighting a boss, just like cast 2 every time you cast it, and one of them's most likely going to crit, especially if you're keeping Corpse Tendrils up. Because even though you might not have this on your weapon, you should at least get it on another piece. Because this is one of the best Necromancer legendaries in the game right now. Not only does it give increased crit chance, but you're also getting increased crit damage. And the crit damage you get has an X by it, you can see. And anytime something has an X by it, that means it's multiplicative increase, so instead of just adding 120% crit damage, it's like timesing that crit damage by whatever your crit damage is already doing. So it's a lot. I'm using attacking enemies with basic skills on the gloves, increases the damage for your next core skill by 9%. This is another one that could also be swapped out for the Ossified Essence key passive. But this one was already imprinted, so I can't put it back on there. But I would much rather have that there. I think this legendary is alright, but I think there's better ones. The Smiting Band's really nice. You have 19% increased crit chance against injured enemies, and when you're healthy, you gain 38% increased crowd control duration. This makes Corpse Tendrils stun last for 4.13 seconds instead of 3, which is pretty amazing. What else do we have? These boots don't even have a useful legendary effect on them. I'm still trying to find a good boots legendary effect or unique effect. If you guys know of one, let me know, because right now I don't know. I'm getting the damaging an elite grants you a barrier on legs. This could be better. These aren't even ancestral or sacred, so I definitely need to get a leg upgrade. That one's not that big of a deal. Now these 2 uniques here, these are pretty, the chest isn't that big of a deal. It says when you pick up 6 blood orbs, a free bone spirit is spawned. So, currently I'm getting blood orbs from my corpse tendrils instead of the vulnerable on that, because I'm getting vulnerable from bone spear. You could run the vulnerable if you don't want to use blood orbs at all, but not only do I have that from blood orbs, but I also went in my Paragon tree. The first one I went into is, let's see, the one that gives blood begets blood. So you get 5% multiplicative increased damage up to 15% for 5 seconds when you pick up blood orbs. And blood orbs are actually like really nice for keeping you alive when you're a little squishier and you don't want to be running out of health pots. So that's like one reason. But then after that, I'm just barely into the Paragon tree. I'm only level 61, but now I'm going into the one where you get bone graft, and I'm pretty excited to get this because that 3 maximum essence is gonna be really nice. 24 bonus max essence is gonna be an extra 24% damage from our passive that we take, Ossified Essence, where your bone skills deal 1% increased damage for each one of the essence you have above 50. And once again, this is another multiplicative increase, so increasing this is going to make all your other multipliers stronger. It's just going to keep adding up. So let me get to town so I can go through the skill tree easier. So far I've tried minion build. I played minion build from 20 to about 53, maybe 52, and my minions were just dying too much, so I kind of got tired of that. And then I switched to Reap and Sever, and now I'm on this one. And this build is by far the strongest and the least reliant on like gear pieces. However, since I did unlock World Tier 4, okay, I unlocked World Tier 4 at level 57, 58. It was either 57 or 58 last night. And it was because I did a 20 with my homies, and we were all under leveled, like we're all like 58, 59, or 60. And we did a 20, and it was so easy with our like new builds that we've got from the Sacred Gear that we were like, alright, we can definitely hop into World Tier 4, and now here we are. And I did it with this build. Okay, so let's start from the top. 5 points in Bone Splinters. This ability does a ton of damage when you're like up close in melee, and you're going to be able to do that whenever the boss is stunned. You're also going to want to go in and get 3 hits on the same target for this 8% crit chance for 4 seconds. You don't have to do this when there's a bunch of mobs because you're going to get a crit anyways from Bone Spear on like multiple mobs. And the most important proc to keep up is this 38% attack speed from the accelerating necklace, because that's going to let you keep your essence up and keep pumping in Bone Spears. It's a lot. Yeah, this is pretty big too. You're going to be getting a 25% chance to fire 2 additional projectiles from Bone Splinters when you have 50 or more essence. That's why I was saying you don't want to go below 50 essence. Because if you have 50 essence, you have that chance, and then you're going to be getting more essence because you get 1 additional essence for each Bone Splinter that hits. So instead of getting, let's say 8 essence, you get 10. Which adds up, and especially with how fast you're attacking, that's quite a bit. I take Imperfectly Balanced at 3 ranks, and Unliving Energy at 3 ranks because Max Essence is really good for this build. I have 9 out of 5 on Bone Spear, and that's because I got a Ancestral Gloves, but obviously I didn't get these before the Capstone dungeon. I was using these right here, which had plus 2 ranks of Bone Spear, but then that last upgrade to get it to 652 plus 25 item power gave me a 3rd rank. And yeah, that was pretty nice. So that's how I have 9 points there. I think you can get another 2 points from Boots and Helm, but it's they're pretty rare. And yeah, you want to get Vulnerable on there. If you want to take this one and get the 2 additional bone shards upon being destroyed, I don't think it's bad. I think you could do that and just get vulnerable from, say, corpse tendrils or the exploit glyph. That's actually going to be really good because, yeah, I'm preferring this one right now because I don't have the exploit glyph, and also I'm running blood orbs. If I swapped out of blood orbs though, I would definitely probably switch to that. But this is a really consistent permanent vulnerable on bosses, so that's amazing. I have Hewed Flesh. Your damage has up to a 12% chance to create a corpse at the target's location. This chance is doubled against bosses. This gives you a consistent way to always have a corpse against bosses. This usually procs pretty quick, especially with the 17% lucky hit chance on Bone Splinters for each splinter. You have a 50% lucky hit chance on Bone Spear, which is insane. So you actually get these quite a bit. I don't take anything here. If you needed to, you could take Blood Mist. I don't feel like I need to. I max out Death's Embrace because that reduced damage up from close enemies is huge, and also you get 6% damage to close enemies. I take Death's Reach because a lot of the time when you're clearing mobs, they're going to be distant, so that actually does a lot. 1 point Decrepify, and then I go into the cooldown reduction node for Decrepify. 15% chance for all cooldowns to be reduced by 1 second. That's nice for resetting Corpse Tendrils and Bone Storm. 1 point in Corpse Tendrils, and then I take the Blood Orbs. But if you don't want to run the Blood Orb Paragon, or you don't have this chest piece, then you could probably take the Vulnerable on it and be just fine. But the Blood Orbs do help you sustain, especially on trash. You're not really getting Blood Orbs on bosses unless they spawn ads with this. It's only a 30% chance. But if they do spawn ads, you're going to get some Blood Orbs, and that's going to help you out with not running out of health potions. But usually you're killing bosses so fast with this build. Like, this is the best boss build I've had. I'm killing bosses in, like, if I get them hit with Corpse Tendrils, they die in like 2 or 3 seconds. Without Corpse Tendrils hitting them, it probably takes about 20 seconds. So that's like if a boss is like moving around a lot. But if you get a Corpse Tendrils hit with the weapon engraving I have, they're pretty much dead. It does so much damage. Okay, I have the amplified damage, deal 9%, increased damage to cursed enemies. This one is good, but if you were going to swap points to anywhere else, like you want something else on this build, I would take them out of there, because the 9% is our lowest multiplier on here. So yeah, you could take them out. You could even get more slow on Decrepify instead, so you're just safer. That's definitely an option if you're like having a hard time dying or mobs are moving around too quick for you. I would take them out and put them in Decrepify. And then you put 1 point here in Serration. I thought this was better than like originally I had 3 points in this, but then I thought about it, and if you have 100 essence with this, you get 9% crit. So it's not that crazy. I do max this one out. This one's great. You crit a lot, and all of your crit applications, so crits from Bone Storm, crits from Bone Splinters, and crits from Bone Spear apply to this. So you always have this up pretty much. It's insane. This one, your bone skills deal 18% multiplicative increased crit damage to vulnerable enemies. This one is also insane. Probably one of the most important passives to take here. I take 3 points on Inspiring Leader. This seems like a minion talent, but it's actually good even without minions, because you get 12% attack speed. If I walk out of town, you'll see the buff pop up on me, but it doesn't pop up in town. Get out here. Oh, there's actually a side quest I need to get there. Alright, anyways, back down to the tree. So there's that 12% attack speed, there's the buff, it just popped up. You just gotta be healthy for 4 seconds. Whenever you're walking in to a room, you're always gonna have that up. And then if you like take some damage, that's fine, you lose it. You could take, if you don't like that, you could take points. I really like attack speed on this build though. Max out standalone, because we're not doing any minions, and max out Memento Mori, because we're not doing any minions. That increases your sacrifice bonuses by 60%. We're taking Bone Storm, all 3 points, 20% crit damage on it, 15% damage reduction is amazing, and then obviously for Bone, Ossified Essence is going to be what you want. For the sacrifices, I take the crit chance from the Skirmisher sacrifice, because crit chance is huge for this build. And yeah, the other ones I don't think are useful at all. For the Skeletal Mage's sacrifice, there is a maximum essence one, but this one is 15% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. And I think this is just better than the essence. The other one is overpower, that's mainly for the blood build, if you wanted to get more overpowered damage, but yeah, definitely take vulnerable sacrifice. And for Golem, I take the attack speed. You could take the increased crit damage from Iron. I think that could even be better. I might have to try that out. So yeah, I would either, for the Golem sacrifice, either take the attack speed if you want more attack speed, or the crit damage if you just need more damage in general and you have high crit chance. That could be really good. I just really like the attack speed because it allows me to like attack and then move around, and like the animation and everything is just way faster. I feel like I can live longer with the high attack speed I have. So that's pretty amazing. And yeah, for the Paragon tree, I have a pretty useless glyph here. I actually haven't bought the dexterities and range to even get the bonus effect, but I'm looking out for the exploit glyph. I just haven't gotten it yet. What the exploit glyph does, if you don't know, it's useful for pretty much every class. And basically it increases your damage to vulnerable targets, but also it gives you, every 30 seconds, your first attack on any enemy applies vulnerable for 3 seconds, so probably the best glyph in the game for mob clearing, because you're just immediately applying vulnerable to everything on any attack for the first 3 seconds that you're hitting them. And vulnerable is like one of the biggest damage increases in the game right now. especially if you're stacking stuff for it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this build. If you have any questions or anything you think I'm missing that I should add to this build, let me know. So yeah, I'll just mouse over these items. I'm using Deathless Visage. This chest piece, you don't have to have this. Okay, the Bone Spirit it spawns, it's kind of hit or miss. Like sometimes it'll show up and only hit for like 30 or 40k, and sometimes it shows up when I pick up 6 blood orbs and it just like one-shots every elite on my screen, and it does bonus damage based on your current life, and I think also it does bonus damage based on your essence as well. So it's definitely not needed. All the clearing speed I've showed is just from Bone Spear, and I'm not even like showing the corpse tendrils. Let me see. But yeah, that's pretty much it. This build's amazing. It really doesn't take much to get this build doing a lot of damage. That Sever build I was using was way slower with more gear. I actually had more gear for that build than I did for this one when I started. And honestly, if you're thinking about experimenting with a bunch of builds, this Corpse Tendrils imprint works with pretty much every build for Necro, so it's not too bad on the weapon. But yeah. Peace, y'all. I hope the build works for you guys as good as it's worked for me. And yeah, I'll be getting once I get items for blood build, I'll make a blood build, but right now I'm just going to be focused on this bone build because this is by far the funnest and fastest build I've had so far. I'll try to get some more videos out using this build. And right now at 61 fighting 73s in tier 4, it's killing really fast, so I can't wait to see what it's like once I get up to 70 with all those bonus Paragon points and stuff. And also just not having the mobs be 13 levels higher than me. Or 12 currently. So I just leveled up. But alright, peace y'all. Have a good one. Follow my Kick stream if you want. Kick.com/Madits. Peace.